and welcome to Your Government in Action, a proud presentation of Bahamas Information Services. I'm Carissa Williamson. And in this episode of Your Government in Action, we are here at Baha Mar Convention Center for the African Export-Import Bank Annual Meeting. So stay tuned with us as we bring you stories from this historic conference, as well as stories from across the nation in this episode of Your Government in Action. The Bahamas is the first country in the region to host the African Export-Import Bank Annual Meeting. Various countries from around Africa and the Caribbean gathered at Baha Mar Convention Center from June 12th to the 15th, 2024 for the 31st Afrexim Bank Annual Meeting. The opening ceremony for the conference took place at Baha Mar Convention Center on June 13th, 2024.
A people without the knowledge of their past history, origin, and culture is like a tree without roots. Those profound words by Marcus Garvey remind us that our journey towards economic prosperity is deeply connected to our understanding and appreciation of our shared heritage and the collective strength of global Africa. Today, under the theme, Owning Our Destiny, Economic Prosperity, on the platform of Global America, we gather to celebrate and chart a course towards a brighter future. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, it is my distinct honor to acknowledge the President of Afrexim Bank, Dr. Benedict Orama. Your visionary leadership and commitment to fostering economic integration and growth across Africa and the diaspora have been instrumental in driving the progress we celebrate here today. To all my colleagues, I stand on the protocol that has been acknowledged. And today, I'm reminded of the boundless possibilities. I'm reminded of the boundless possibilities that define the Caribbean and indeed the Bahamas. Our region is a collection of islands and a vibrant landscape of culture, innovation, and opportunity. The Bahamas, with its strategic location and dynamic economy, represents possibility and a gateway to a broader economic horizons. Growing up in Cat Island, one of our country's beautiful family of islands, I was always filled with big dreams of my country. I may not have envisioned the specific paths our economy would take, but I always believed in the limitless potential of our nation. Our history is one of invention, disruption, resilience, and innovation. We have pioneered in various fields, from tourism to financial services, transforming challenges into opportunities and showcasing our ability to innovate and lead. Just as the Bahamas has embraced its unique position to become a global leader in tourism and financial services, so too can we, as a collective African and Caribbean nations, develop our potential to shape our own economic destiny. At the 44th meeting of the heads of government of CARICOM here in Nassau, Professor Orama declared that the people of Africa and the Caribbean are poised to make the global capitalist economy, which was built on the sweat and blood of African slaves, work for them. He continued that for so many decades, the global capitalist economy has remained an unbearable burden on the shoulders of Africans. But we are now poised to make it work for us. Capital owned, controlled, and deployed by us, and not by others, has the best chance of turning the inequities of that sad history into an asset for a fresh new beginning of shared prosperity.
During his contribution to the 2024-2025 budget debate in the House of Assembly on June 12, 2024, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Tourism, Investments and Aviation, the Honorable I. Chester Cooper, said that evidence shows that the Bahamas is headed towards a record-breaking year in tourism, far surpassing last year's 8 million visitors.
This budget displays that we remain unwaveringly focused on our strategy of fiscal management and fostering growth. And we are growing. We're growing our GDP. We're growing our economy. We're growing government revenues. We're growing investor confidence. We're growing jobs with the lowest unemployment in years. And we're growing tourism numbers with a record-setting tourism arrivals every day, day by day. And I want to send a special thanks to the Prime Minister and the Minister for Finance for his work. This budget is important work that sets the stage for the future. It requires steady hands and a compassionate spirit. And we thank him for serving with distinction. His address and the communication and his opening remarks were robust. And I believe combined he spoke for about 4 hours of substance, Mr. Deputy. So I won't belabor the details, except to say again, revenues are up, GDP is up, debt to GDP is down, and the deficit is down. That's progress, Mr. Deputy. And while the numbers are critically important in the budget, what the budget does is what really matters. We've been able to get our economic house in better order. We jumpstart infrastructure projects through innovative thinking without increasing the tax burden on the Bahamian people. We might not hit every target we aim at, but we're advancing this Bahamas every day, every step of the way, ways that truly impact the Bahamian people. Mr. Deputy, I want to give a report on my portfolio. At the outset, I want to tell you that what the evidence shows is that the Bahamas is on a trajectory towards another record-breaking year in tourism. Our year-to-date figures for 2024 have surpassed all expectations, even the records of 2023. We're building on the momentum of previous years. We're not resting on our laurels. Team Tourism will continue to deploy winning strategies as we did last year. Yes, we're leaping forward in tourism with Director General Tia Duncombe, Deputy Director General Valerie Alsay, and Deputy Director General Dr. Kenneth Roma, and the Bahamas tourism offices manned by qualified Bahamians all around the world. Let me repeat that. Our Bahamas tourism offices in London, in New York, in Florida, in Houston, in LA, and Atlanta are manned by qualified Bahamians, and this makes me very proud. I want to say a special thank you to Permanent Secretary Cecilia Strawn, Undersecretary Lisa Anderson. Thank you for your steady hands. I want to give a special tribute to all of the industry professionals who've helped to build the robust industry over many, many years. I pay a special tribute today to Mr. Vernal Sands, who's not feeling well. But I want to send a shout out to him. We all would have encountered him. Bow tie, big smile, welcoming voice. It's people like him who's helped to build this industry. and people like Angela Clare and Sheila Cox, Subaltern Battle, Valda Campbell, Earlston McPhee, and Vincent Vanderpool Wallace all helped to build this tourism industry.
That's right.
So I don't delude myself. I won't tell you that the success in tourism has only just started. We have an exceptionally strong brand. That didn't happen overnight, and I thank them all for their service to country. From January to April 2024, we have seen a significant increase in foreign air and sea arrivals, marking a 12.4% rise compared to the same period in the record-setting 2023. Simply put, that translates to almost 4 million visitors in 4 months. That's 4 million in 4 months. And if these average holds, and we hope it does, 1 million a month will result in a 20% increase year over year, or 12 million overall arrivals by year end.
Minister of Health and Wellness, Dr. the Honorable Michael Darville, during his contribution to the 2024-2025 budget debate in the House of Assembly on June 11, 2024, said that his ministry is about changing the way that health care is delivered to the public through the modernization of facilities and services.
Madam Speaker, I now turn my attention to this year's budget and start by congratulating the Right Honourable Prime Minister, our leader, and his dedicated team at the Ministry of Finance for their steadfast commitment and tireless efforts in steering our country towards economic recovery. The commendable results of this diligence is evident in the increasing number of economic manifestations in tourism, small business development, the modernization of our healthcare system, and the improvement of lives and livelihoods of thousands of Bahamians across the archipelago. Madam Speaker, the macroeconomic indicators are promising, and after 2.5 years of governance, unemployment is now at its lowest since 2009. Tourism arrivals are breaking records. The economy is moving in the right direction, and our healthcare system is no longer on life support. Healthcare is finally getting the attention it truly deserves. We are moving closer to universal healthcare coverage by way of national health insurance, and our blueprint for change is a living document. Madam Speaker, it is crucial to acknowledge the proactive approach to governance by our Prime Minister in transforming our blueprint for change from a document of promises into a meticulously crafted roadmap of actionable items. These initiatives are not just words on paper, but represent serious, strategically executed actions illustrated by this administration's dedication to driving positive change and progress that was demonstrated from day one in office. Madam Speaker, we are a progressive government of action, and we believe deliverables that the Bahamian people need, you must be able to see them, you must be able to feel them, you got to hear about them, smell them, and even taste them. These cycle promises or wishful thinking about all plans that fade away when you come out of government. That's right. After close examination of draft revenue and expenditure estimates outlined in Head 60, the Ministry of Health and Wellness, and Head 66, the Department of Public Health, I wish to highlight the facts that we received some $385,734,491, which represent an increase of $37,685,007 in this year's budget. The majority of this expenditure increase will go to the Public Hospitals Authority and the Department of Public Health for additional hires and to expand essential healthcare programs across the country. Madam Speaker, in this year's budget, I am proud to introduce for the first time 3 line items in Head 60 under the Ministry of Health and Wellness. 2 of the 3 line items fall under special financial transactions, One of the line items is 228114, which covers longevity, stem cell, and gene therapy research. In the country, these life-saving therapies will become available to Bahamians and will be governed by a new bill that would repeal the present old 2016 Stem Cell Act. I laid the new Longevity and Regenerative Therapy Bill 2004 in this honorable House a few months ago, and I intend to debate it and hopefully pass it shortly so that Bahamians can access these therapies. The sum of $250,000 has been allocated in that line that will help to bring this particular bill into force. The second line item is 228115, National Mental Health Program, was allocated a sum of $500,000 to help bring some components of this progressive piece of legislation into force. In the current budget cycle, a lot of preparatory work and postgraduate training was done to prepare community clinics to bring this new Mental Health Act into force in stages. Madam Speaker, this act is one of the most progressive mental health acts in the region, but it is so complicated and so many moving parts, it was very difficult for the ministry to implement this act all at once, and so we're bringing it into force in stages. The allocated funds in this new budget will be used for programs that would help patients and their families and establish programs, progressive programs in our communities. We are hoping that as we go into our communities and we begin to see individuals who are suffering from mental health issues, these new funding will be able to find ways to move these individuals who are untreated out of the community and bring them into places where they can actually receive care.
More of Your Government in Action when we return. Welcome back. The government of the Bahamas intends to construct 8 swimming pools as a part of the Pools in Schools initiative. The groundbreaking ceremony for the initiative took place at the government high school on June 13th, 2024.
I think we have a fair idea of what is happening here, the genesis of it. We've heard about the genesis and the dialogue that became with the Ministry of Education, who didn't need much long story on the matter. And because we understand that for our children to advance, sometimes we have to go off script, because we've been inheriting a script for a little while now. You go off the script and you look at your young people with real eyes and you say, how can we capitalize on the incredible talent and gifts of these young people? Carifta has shown, as Mr. Cargill has said, that we are a swimming sports power. It's as simple as that. It's factual, demonstrated year after year after year after year after year. But we're finding that a lot of the athletes tend to come from the private schools because they have the swimming pools, they get the programs. Well, we know that in our public schools, we have incredible sporting talent. And we are going to see very, very soon in swimming what our young people can do. Yeah. We heard about sailing, the national sport. It's now in the curriculum. And we're going to ensure that our children are able to swim and participate in that particular sport. I see here we have the Knowleses. We can't thank them enough. What they have done and where they have gone. And they're currently in 8 schools, I believe, primary schools. And they're in a lot of over-the-hill schools. Communities in which parents don't necessarily have huge resources. And they have related to me the growth the energization and the huge potential that emerges in these young people from this thing learning how to swim. You know, and that tells you how important swimming is. It's actually filling a gap in our survival skills that most young people, most Bahamians don't have. And you know, we know about climate change, and we in certain islands we had 20 feet of water. That's the truth. That's the reality. 20 feet of water. But we know, so it's a survival skill, but I believe it's also the route to high-performing sporting accomplishment. I want to thank the sports unit, which is driving the process. I want to talk about Mr. Fox. I told him this morning that he is from the old school because he has demonstrated his love for this country over and over, and today, in the most manifest way. And his daughter, that's another thing I told him this morning, he appreciates female leadership. He appreciates it. We got to work on some other men around here. But he appreciates it, and he has empowered his daughter, who is very instrumental in all of the work that he does. This is a big day. It is a beautiful day. This is how we change the paradigm, to be intentional, to direct and create, and to not accept a status quo which perpetuates in a way that some could say is mediocre or not sharp enough. We know our young people are incredible. I am convinced. I've seen it. I've seen it. And we see it all over the country in sports, in music, in the academic skills, in the technical skills. It's ridiculous, the talent that this country has, and we have to capitalize on it. The day has come to capitalize on our young people. Now, the Prime Minister is here this morning. Let me just say, he's not just here in a formalistic or ceremonial role. Because as you've heard, he spent years, a decade, he just told me, in developing of sporting and swimming in our schools and amongst our young people in the CB's Club. And he's also advised that he was vice president of the Swim Federation. So this is not someone who's parachuting into this exciting event. He understands this. He knows what this means. And he's a Cat Island boy, and he understands what it is for access, the importance of access to our young people. Today is the beginning of access in swimming. And I believe we can see some mind-boggling outcomes.
About a month or so ago, a representative from the Sean Connery Foundation came to see me with several of their trustees. And the son who was heading that foundation said to me, Prime Minister, the foundation wishes to put some resources behind a Learn to Swim program. I then indicated to him that I know there's Nancy, and I call her first because she's in charge. Nancy and Andy have started that program, talking with women empowerment, and I know there's a need for it. But I said, what has excited you to pick it up? He said, well, the foundation charge is to provide scholarships for ocean marine studies, marine biologies, etc. And they have a relationship with universities in Scotland. So between the Bahamas and Scotland, they are trying to recruit Bahamians and Scots persons to study marine biology, oceanology, etc. And he said, I took 30 prospective students to Glasgow, and lo and behold, they had to go in the water to swim, and none could swim. And that was shocking. And that was shocking. And that propelled him to say that he'll be a part of this exercise of whatever resources we need, we could tap into them to assist in this program. And lo and behold, parallel to that, I heard from the chairman of the gaming board, then I heard from a good friend, Adrian, Dr. Fox, indicating, look, we came up with this idea of pools in the schools, and all these things just to be falling in place at the same time. And here we are this morning. Here we are today. And so students, it's so good to see all of you, bright eyes and bushy tail and full of promise and excitement. You will now have access to water. And it's not just learning to swim for survival, which is a key part to it, but also a means through which you can earn a living. So if you're interested in oceanography, if you're interested in the environment and have to deal with marine biology or something of the sort, learning to swim will be a critical part of that journey to be what that person. And I was just at the local point in South Eleuthera, the Disney project, is a port. And there, the owners and the directors, they were indicating that they're looking for lifeguards, and they need lifeguards. The hotels here in New Providence are talking about the shortage of lifeguards, and we're giving out work permits for lifeguards. Right? Thankfully, the Ministry of Tourism started a program, and they graduated at least over 100 the other day, and 35 of them were immediately hired in South Eleuthera. So again, what is central to becoming a lifeguard? Being able to learn, being able to swim. So there is also that opportunity, as was pointed out by the Minister of Sport. And so as we come together today at this promising site at Government High to mark this, what I call transformative chapter in the story of our nation, here we lay the foundation for the first of many swimming pools under our ambitious Pools in the Schools initiative, founded by and supported by my good friend, Dr. Adrian Fox, led by his daughter. This initiative is a declaration of our commitment to the safety, health, and empowerment of our children. The call to action for this program came from some unsettling reality. We are advised that nearly 95% of Bahamians lack basic swimming skills in a nation embraced by ocean waters. This is not just an inconvenient truth. It is a critical gap, as was pointed out by the Minister of Education, in our national fabric. As someone who once led part of the Bahamas Swimming Federation, and now I was a swim father, and now I'm a swim grandfather, Nancy, who deeply appreciates the value of swimming. This initiative is profoundly personal to me. It resonates with my core belief that every child in the Bahamas deserves to thrive, not just on the land, but in the water that surrounds our beautiful islands.
I'm Carissa Williamson, and this has been Your Government in Action, a proud presentation of Bahamas Information Services. Join us on Tuesday evenings, where we bring you highlights, coverage, and information as we continue to do what we do best, linking people and government.